Hello everyone, this is Mark with Mark's Max Muscle, and we have a fantastic fan-requested video today from Tarak Jaffor. Melvin Anthony versus Thierry Pastel, that's going to be good. Well, you are right, Tarak, this is a very good comparison. This is not the best front relaxed position I could find of Thierry, but it shows the whole body, better to gauge the size, things of that nature. There is this one here. It's from the Mr. Olympia, I believe, 1990 or 91? 1991, I believe, yes. Anyway, yeah, he was a little bit bigger here. He brought it that night. I mean, it was his big event. He was coming up from the smaller events, and he really shined. He brought his best package. Smaller than Melvin Anthony, I wouldn't go as far as to say that he's winning or losing. I mean, there is qualities of both men. This is the symmetry round after all, so let's turn to the side, gentlemen. Of course, the camera angles are not going to be perfect in some of these comparisons. It almost looks like Melvin Anthony standing straight on. You can see both lats, for goodness sakes. So like I said, not a very fair comparison. The conditioning of Thierry Pastel, and look at the size of his legs. I was thinking that maybe the legs would be a dominant factor for Melvin, but I'm not so sure. This is going to be a good matchup. All right, let's have a look at the backs, in which case Melvin Anthony definitely is getting an edge. And I would give him an overall edge in the symmetry round, just based on his size. Probably about it. I mean, the conditioning was pretty good a lot for Thierry. Now, this is a different version of Melvin Anthony. I'm using the 2008 Atlantic City Pro for the most part, but for the quarter turns and the rear relaxed, I had to pick up a couple extra pictures. But anyway, I give a slight edge to Melvin Anthony for the symmetry round, but this is the muscularity round, and this is where matches are won and lost. Let's face it. I mean, this is the most important part. Front double bicep, a very blurry picture of Thierry, but I've watched the tapes and I've seen some photo shoots. This man had one of the best front double biceps of all time. Of course, he was a little tiny man and possessed a little tiny waistline as well. But when you look at the muscle that this man put on, look at the legs, look at the arms. No, he's not a mass monster, but compared to the waistline, he is a big giant muscle man, for sure. I think he's taking Melvin Anthony to school in this pose here, so you can keep your symmetry round. I prefer this front double bicep comparison for Thierry Pastel. Now, the front lat spread, I had to use a photo shoot for Thierry, but trust me when I tell you, he had some awesome competition front lat spreads. They were just far too blurry, but go ahead yourself and check it out. That small waistline with those legs creates such an X-frame, almost like a Kevin Levrone from the lower end of the spectrum. Kevin Levrone, a good pose actually, except for the lats, I guess, when you take into consideration the quads, things of that nature. But anyway, the lats are maybe a little bit better here for Thierry. Melvin Anthony always had these little spikes coming out of the end of his teats. I believe Rich Gaspari also had that genetic trait, not the most aesthetic trait, especially in this pose here. So Thierry, ooh, check him out. 2-1 if you count the symmetry round. Here we have the side chest pose, and I just can't believe this competition and the way that it is going. It seems like the guys from the 80s, early 90s, the farther back you go, their aesthetics were greater and greater, and I believe we are losing our aesthetics the further we go ahead in time. I mean, Melvin Anthony, compare him with any of the other competitors that he competed with. He was the Frank Zane of his era. And Thierry Pastel, he was a small flash in the pan, a very quick flash in the pan, but my God, man, his aesthetics, top notch. Plus, look at the arm on this little man, beating Melvin Anthony in my opinion. It's close though, but I mean, take into consideration how small he is. When you look at the legs, the conditioning of Thierry, he's so far ahead of his time. I am definitely giving him the side chest. 3-1 for Thierry. I cannot believe this. And even in this side tricep pose, I don't even want to continue to judge this one because I'd give a little bit of an edge here to Thierry as well. The tricep alone, it's a funny shape. I don't know if it's his lat bulging out there for Melvin Anthony, or it's just the tricep itself. I don't know. not that aesthetic. Not bad, I mean, don't get me wrong. Compared to Thierry, though, it's almost like a mini, more aesthetic Jay Cutler side tricep. Fantastic job. But this is a close one here. This could honestly, I could see people giving this one to Melvin, but not me, not me. I'm a loss for words, guys. I'm judging this to the best of my ability, and Thierry is winning. Of course, when we look at the back developments, it is definitely in the favor of Melvin Anthony. And I apologize, this is the only shot that I could find of Thierry in the rear lat spread. But trust me when I tell you, this is a good comparison here. This is a good version of Thierry's rear lat spread, rather. Melvin Anthony, a little bit more separation and a little bit more domination in the Christmas tree area, lower lat insertions. Just a better back altogether, in my opinion. That theory is reinforced here in this competition-ready picture of Thierry in the rear double bicep pose. He's leaning back too far, and I do not like when bodybuilders do this. It takes away from your pose, or it takes away from the back development. You can actually see the tops of his pecs. You see that? Phil Heath does the same thing sometimes. Go back to the way you did it in 2011, Phil Heath. Then you'll win the 2020 Olympia. Anyway, let's not get into that right now. Definitely a domination in the back development for Melvin Anthony here. But I did not ignore those biceps of Thierry. Based on that alone, I could see some people even giving this, since it is called a rear double bicep pose. But I focus more on the back development, and the biceps somewhat secondary to this pose. Otherwise, Dorian Yates would have lost each and every double bicep pose. Anyway, Thierry loses 2 points in both back shots. The ab and thigh pose is generally won by both of these guys, no matter who they're competing against, because they can basically bank on being the best guy in the ab and thigh shot. But now they're going up against each other, and it's a little bit of a difficult judging venture, I'm here to tell you. Those striations in the thighs of Melvin Anthony give him a slight edge, but of course the aesthetic flow goes to Thierry. Now there's this one here, more of a straight-on, a clearer picture of Thierry, and my word, he does have the advantage in the ab development, and you can really see the feathering in those quads, which goes to show you that some of these older guys did have the conditioning that people speak of, but the clarity of the pictures just wasn't there. But it is plain to see Thierry Pastel unstoppable in this ab and thigh shot. We're going to finish this very topsy-turvy competition off with the most muscular, in which case I do lean slightly toward Melvin Anthony. This is a little bit of a later version of Thierry Pastel, and you can see his pecs began to split. And unfortunately, that really took his aesthetics down. Maybe one of the personal reasons why he stopped competing altogether. Who knows? Anyway, Melvin Anthony, he gets a point in the most muscular, but here is your winner of this little competition, Thierry Pastel, and this blows my mind. This is a real shocker. Either Melvin Anthony was not as good as he was cut out to be, or Thierry Pastel is way better than people give him credit for. And I believe the latter. I believe Thierry Pastel was so highly underrated. He could have taken out a lot of guys had he been around today in the classical physique division. Wow. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this one. It was a very interesting competition. Hit thumbs up, hit subscribe. Have a great day, guys.